Good morning, everyone. We are the Relaxin Rhinos group, your reporters for today. Our topic is all about global warming, but first, let me introduce to you my co-members together with the topic that they will be reporting. The cause of the global warming will be reported by Ms. Kate Alvarez, BS Entrance student. The effects of the global warming will be reported by Ms. Maui Sagid, BSA student, and Ms. Millie Silvestre, BS NCHEP student. Next is the relationship between global warming and climate change to be reported by yours truly. And lastly, the worldwide perspective of global warming to be reported by Ms. Vanjie Baila, a BSA student. But before we go to our topic, let me give you some facts about global warming. Did you know that global warming is the increase of Earth's average surface temperature due to greenhouse gases that collect in the atmosphere like a thickening blanket, trapping the sun's heat and causing the planet to warm up? Next fact is the greenhouse gases keep heat close to the Earth's surface, making it livable for humans and animals. However, global warming is happening largely due to an overemergence of these gases in fossil fuels like natural oil, gasoline, and coal. Third fact is with the start of industry in the 1700s, humans began emitting more fossil fuels from coal, oil, and gas run our cars, trucks, and factories. By driving a smarter car, you will not only save in gas but help prevent global warming. Next is the facts about the climate change. First fact is most of the increase in global temperature since 1950 has been caused by human activity. Second fact is that the average temperature of the Earth is determined by the greenhouse effect. Third, global temperature have increased by about 1 degree Celsius in the past century. Fourth, the United States is the second largest contributor of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Lastly, Arctic sea ice and glaciers are melting. And now, let's proceed to the cause of the global warming.
Hi, I am Caitlin B. Alvarez and I am the one who discussed the causes of global warming. So first, we have burning fossil fuels. When we burn fossil fuels like coal and gas to create electricity or power, our cars will release CO2 or carbon dioxide pollution into the atmosphere. Australians are big producers of CO2 pollutions compared to the rest of the world. Our level of CO2 pollution per person is nearly double the average of other developed nations and more than 4 times the world average. So the solution is we have two solutions: reducing the amount of electricity generated from coal and gas, and the second one is increasing the amount of electricity from clean renewable energy sources like solar and wind. So, the second cause of global warming is deforestation and tree clearing. Plants and trees play an important role in regulating the climate because they absorb carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen back into it. Forest and bushland act carbon sinks and are a valuable means of keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But humans clear vast areas of vegetation around the world for farming, urban and infrastructure development, or to sell pre-products such as timber and palm oil. When vegetation is removed or burnt, the stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere as CO2 or carbon dioxide, contributing to global warming. The solutions we have is prevent deforestation and tree clearing, plant more trees, through reforestation and afforestation. And for the last, we have agriculture and farming. Animals, livestock like sheep and cattle produce methane, a greenhouse gas when livestock graze at a large scale, as in Australia. The amount of the methane produced a big contributor to global warming. Some that farmers use also release oxide, which is another greenhouse gas. The resolution use different stock feeds can help to reduce farming's contribution to climate change. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mami Sagid, reporter from Relaxin Rhinos Group. Effects of global warming. Global warming has its considerable effects and is becoming a major issue and cannot be overlooked anymore. It is drastically changing the way the Earth operates and is bringing in irreversible problems. There is a reason why the issue of global warming is politicizing as well. This is because it doesn't only affect a single person, a small group of people, or a portion of a community. It affects the entire world. Polar bears become extinct and the glaciers that graze the coldest regions of the earth disappear. Only then the humanity learn a lesson. Humans are greedy because they keep this earth as their safe heaven. And they don't shy away from taking advantage of their surroundings. The immense amount of pollution, dumping trash into the ocean, wasting water unreasonably, consuming meat or animal products, all of these are glimpses of what humanity is doing to the earth today. The main effects of global warming. There are two major effects of global warming. The number one is increase of temperature on the earth by about 3 degrees to 5 degrees Celsius, 5.4 degree to 9 degree Fahrenheit by the year 2100. Number 2, rise of sea levels by at least 25 meters, 82 feet by the year 2100. More details and secondary effects of global warming. Increased global temperature are the primary effects of global warming. However, they are causing a broad range of additional secondary effects. Sea levels are rising due to thermal expansion of the ocean, in addition to melting of land ice. Amount of patterns of precipitation are changing. The total annual power of hurricanes has already increased markedly since 1975 because their average intensity and average duration have increased. In addition, there has been a high correlation of hurricane power with the tropical sea surface temperature. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns have also global effects on extreme weather events. They increase the frequency, duration, and intensity of floods, droughts, heat waves, and tornadoes. Other effects of global warming include higher or lower agricultural yields. Further, glacial retreat reduces summer stream flows, species extinctions as further effects of global warming. Diseases like malaria are returning into areas where they are being extinguished earlier. Muir and Riggs Glaciers. Retreat of Muir Glacier. Comparison photos of Muir and Riggs Glaciers in Clear Bay National Park and Preserve, Alaska. Muir Glacier, part of which were greater than 65 meters thick in 1941, has retreated out of the image in 2004. Towards the upper left, as the effects of global warming, the distance to the visible Riggs Glacier in 2004 is 3 kilometers. During this time, the Muir Glacier retreated more than 20 kilometers. So this is the picture of Muir and Riggs Glacier in 1941 and 2004. Even if the global warming effects will convince mankind to stop emitting greenhouse gases, the global warming is expected to continue past 2100 because carbon dioxide or CO2 has an estimated atmospheric lifetime of 50 and 200 years. 5 effects that global warming brings in. The number 1, animal extinction, higher sea levels, hurricanes are becoming common, the spread of disease is increasing, in longer wildfire season. So let's tackle the first, animal extinction. Animal extinction. The Earth is experiencing rapid change temperatures as global warming takes momentum. It is necessary for the living species to adapt according to those changes. Global warming has a lot of effects on ocean life. There are many water animals that are leaving their normal location to move towards places that are cooler. The thing is, the global warming alters the tide of sea and can also increase drought. What does this suggest? Basically, the animals that live in their current condition will not be able to keep up with these changes, and this can be result in their extinction as their ability to adapt is lower than the intensity of climate change. And the second is the higher sea levels. Climate change can also initiate a rise in sea levels because that world's ice sheets and glaciers are melting quickly. As the sea level increases, the risk of many islands of cities close to the sea getting engulfed by waters increases. This is the possibility that a lot of prominent cities with America like New York and Los Angeles can be damaged as the sea level rises. We don't pay attention to this because it isn't a visible change. We don't pay attention to this because it isn't a visible change, but the process of gradual and still continuing. The third is hurricanes are becoming common. As the ocean and sea are getting warmer by the day, there is an increase in the heat within the atmosphere. Climate change gives hurricanes the perfect condition to turn deadly. Sometimes many of these hurricanes tend to be of moderate level but becoming life-threatening because climate change brings in a lot of heat. This also connects to the deadly situation in the Bahamas, as a good portion of island isn't visible anymore. The water coming in through hurricanes has completely surrounded the regions. So that's the peak. Yarn. And the fourth is the spread of disease is increasing. Insects that carry disease have an easier time surviving in regions that are warmer than usual. They can thrive and exist within such a weathers and also increase the chance of a person getting infected by them. In other words, global warming is opening up of portal that can be develop harmful illnesses that humanity might have difficult time dealing with. The irony here is that this disease can be prevented if everyday humans demonstrate a bit more responsibility within their actions. The various types of disease that global warming can increase include Lyme disease, dengue fever, malaria, and Westline disease. Not to mention, the spread of dangerous viruses can be bacteria isn't decreasing and continues to remain as the threat to public health. The problem is that people who live in rural areas or belongs to lower class families are the victims to such deadly illnesses. They don't have necessary means to protect themselves and cannot afford heavy hospital and medical bills. It is a depressive truth that reflects the concept of capitalism which rules the current world. Taking Pakistan into consideration, if global warming keeps up with the way it is, then the population of country will be a significant decrease. Almost half of the country's population lives in areas that are vulnerable to illness. Longer wildfire season. When the weather is hot or disrupted because of global warming, it is easy for the forest fire to spread. This is because the forests are turning drier and hotter. It takes us back to the hurricane fires of Amazon forest and why they are still ongoing and widespread. The real concern here is that this forest is responsible for the survival of humanity as well as this planet. So the fact it is still currently burning is just contributing to the vicious cycle of global warming. Nevertheless, the damage that is already inflicted onto the earth cannot be undone, but is it responsibility of humans to work toward decreasing climate change. We can start from performing simple acts like picking up litter on the streets, cutting down on meat products, or buying things that can be more eco-friendly. It is true that combating global warming is a steady and consistent process. However, we do need to do something sooner or later. There is a wide possibility that effects of climate change and swallow the world whole.
So, good day to all of you. I would like to introduce myself first. I am Millie Di Silvestre, the reporter for this part of the topic, which is the global warming cause and effect. So now let's go and start to tackle. Let me first give some introduction about the global warming. We know that global warming has become a major concern in the world. We have also started facing its effects in recent times. The term global warming denotes a rise in Earth's average temperature. A steady rise in the Earth's average temperature is noted since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. And since 1960, every passing decade has been warmer than the previous one, and the Earth's temperature is still on rise. What are the causes of global warming? Causes of global warming: radiation, greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is the prime cause of global warming because the greenhouse effect is caused due to the gases which absorb and reflect radiant energy. The gases responsible for the greenhouse effect are called the greenhouse gases. The greenhouse gases, when present in moderate quantities, help Earth retain the heat received from the sunlight, thus helping in maintaining moderate temperature necessary for survival life on Earth. But there are some human activities such as industrialization, deforestation, and environmental pollution causes increase in the greenhouse gases. This increase in greenhouse gases results in more heat being trapped on Earth's surface, thus increasing the average temperature and causing global warming. There have been many campaigns organized by the other nations and other countries to fight global warming. Several agreements also been signed by many countries to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. There are also many ways to prevent occurrence of global warming. These are the following steps which can greatly help in reducing the greenhouse gases to reduce the global warming. You have to avoid stop burning fossil fuels, reduction in the transportation pollution, using electric vehicles, restricting the emission of greenhouse gases from the factories, increase plantation and promote reforestation, proper waste management, avoid wastage of electricity, use of LED bulbs, harness the renewable resources of energy, reduce paper usage and recycle, avoid using disposable plastic and use earthen cups. That's all for the that's all the ways which we can use as a way to prevent the occurrence of the global warming. And for my conclusion, global warming is a global issue. It's not about a single country or an individual. It's about our earth, our ecosystem, and the most important, it is about the survival of the human race. So let's unite and stand together to prevent this man-made curse and make our earth a better place for our future generations.
Good day. My name is Prisa Andreas from the group of the Relaxin Rhinos, and for today, I'm about to discuss the relationship between global warming and climate change. Climate change and global warming are often used interchangeably but have different distinct meanings. Similarly, the terms weather and climate are sometimes confused, though they refer to events with broadly different spatial and time scales. Weather refers to the atmospheric conditions that occur locally over short periods of time, from minutes to hours or days. Familiar examples include rain, snow, clouds, winds, floods, or thunderstorms. Climate, on the other hand, refers to the long term regional or even global average of temperature, humidity, and rainfall patterns over seasons, years, or decades. So, what is global warming? Global warming is a long term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre industrial period between 1850 and 1900s due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. The term is frequently used interchangeably with the term climate change, though the latter refers to both human and natural produced warming and the effects it has on our planet. It most commonly measured as the average increase in Earth's global surface temperature. Since the pre-industrial period, human activities are estimated to have increased Earth's global average temperature by about 1 degree Celsius or 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, a number that is currently increasing by zero point 0.2 degrees Celsius or 0.36 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. It is unequivocal that human influences form the atmosphere, ocean, and land. Global warming is the change in climate of the Earth causing it to heat up, whereas the greenhouse effect is naturally occurring phenomena, constantly occurring due to atmospheric and sunlight. This heat is trapped by some of the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, warming the Earth to sustain life. What is greenhouse effect? The greenhouse effect is the way in which heat is trapped close to Earth's surface by greenhouse gases. These heat-trapping gases can be thought of as a blanket trap around Earth, keeping the planet cozier than it would be without them. Greenhouse gases include carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxides. Scientists have determined that carbon dioxide's warming effect helps stabilize Earth's atmosphere. Remove carbon dioxide, and the terrestrial greenhouse effect would collapse. Without carbon dioxide, Earth's surface would be some 33 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Greenhouse gases occur naturally and are part of our atmosphere's makeup. For that reason, Earth is sometimes called the Goldilocks planet. Its conditions are not too hot and not too cold, but just right to allow life, including us, to flourish. Part of what makes Earth so amenable is its natural greenhouse effect, which keeps the planet at a friendly 15 degrees Celsius or 59 degrees Fahrenheit on average. But in the last century or so, humans have been interfering with the planet's energy balance, mainly through the burning of fossil fuels that add carbon dioxide to the air. The level of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere has been rising consistently for decades and traps extra heat near Earth's surface, causing temperatures to rise. Next, what is climate change? Climate change is a long-term change in the average weather patterns that have come to define Earth's local, regional, and global climates. This changes is a broad range of observed effects that are synonymous with the term. Changes observed in Earth's climate since early 20th century are primarily driven by human activities, particularly fossil fuel burning, which increases heat-trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere, raising Earth's average surface temperature. These human-produced temperature increases are commonly referred to as global warming. Natural processes can also contribute to climate change, including internal variability. Example is cyclical ocean patterns like El Nino, La Nina, and the Pacific Decadal Oscillation, and external forcings like volcanic activity, changes in the sun's energy output, variations in the Earth's orbit. Scientists use observations from the ground, air, and space along with theoretical models to monitor and study past, present, and future climate change. Climate data records provide evidence of climate change key indicators such as global land and ocean temperature increases, rising sea levels, ice loss at Earth's poles and in mountain glaciers, frequency and severity changes in extreme weather such as hurricanes, heat waves, wildfires, droughts, floods, and precipitation, and cloud and vegetation cover changes, to name but a few. So, simply, global warming refers to the rise in global temperatures due to mainly increasing concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, while climate change, on the other hand, refers to the increasing changes in the measures of climate over a long period of time, including precipitation, temperature, and wind patterns.
I'm Banji Ribala. Yung topic na i-discuss ko is worldwide perspective on global warming. Worldwide views on global warming gave citizens across the globe the possibility of influencing political decision in regards to Earth's climate, because the meetings presented citizens with the opportunity to express how far they were willing to let politicians go in the struggle to reduce CO2 or carbon dioxide emissions. Environmental issues become increasingly global in scale, so does policymaking. In this new reality, the distance between citizens and policymakers increases, thereby diminishing the citizens' sense of ownership in decision making. This creates a need for a new initiative to bridge the widening democratic gap. Citizens have to live with the consequence of climate policies. Their views should therefore be taken into consideration. Policies determined through international climate negotiation will mean that citizens will have to invest in new technology, develop new consumer patterns, and modify their houses and even their livelihoods. They are more likely to accept and implement such policies if they have been consulted and listened to first. Until now, no systematic and in-depth global citizens consultancy on climate change has been organized. Worldwide Views fills this void and establishes a model for the future inclusions of the world's citizens in global policy making. The novel and practical project design makes it potential possible for all nations on Earth to take part and to produce comparable results that can be clearly communicated to policymakers. Worldwide views on global warming involve roughly 4,000 citizens in 38 countries spanning 6 continents. The citizens gather in their respective nations to deliberate about the core issues at stake in the December 2009 UN negotiation on climate change. They receive balanced information about climate change, discuss with fellow citizens and express their own views. They did so in day-long meetings on September 26, 2009. The participating citizens mandate their politicians to take fast and strong action at COP15. The atmosphere at the meetings reflected dedication and seriousness of purpose. A multitude of ideas and viewpoints, including climate skepticism, green opinions, and much doubt was aired and confronted at the tables. When it came to take a decision and vote, the diversity and differences in opinions were less dominant. There is a very high degree of consensus among the citizens that climate change should be dealt with promptly and with ambitious targets. The citizens want a deal to made a CO15 and not later. They call for a long-term global average temperature targets of less than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. They follow that up with a wish for higher reduction targets than their politicians are stating in the lead up to COP15. They call for fair and proportionate burden sharing in national terms. The broadest shoulders should carry the heaviest load, but participants from all countries are willing to contribute. Those countries that do not live up to their commitment should be met with punishment. The citizens see technology development and the distributions as a prerequisite for effective global policies, and they want an international financial system to pay for technology transfer and adoption. And they support strong international institutions to advance the objectives of a new climate deal. The citizens urge their governments to take strong and fast action, but they also point to the necessity for mobilizing their own efforts as citizens and consumers. They recommend awareness building, education, and positive market incentives as instruments to help population act in support of climate policies. A majority of the global participants wants the price of fossil fuels to be increased, which shows a willingness of individual citizens to contribute. The following 9 policies recommendations are the results of thorough analysis of the worldwide views results by the project coordinators, assisted by a group of national partners from across the world. First, make a deal at COP15. Second, keep the temperature increase below 2 degrees. Third, Annex 1 countries should reduce emissions with 25 to 40 or more by 2020. Fourth, fast-growing economies should also reduce emissions by 2020. Fifth, low income in developing countries should limit emissions. Sixth, give high priority to an international financial mechanism. 7. Punish non-complying countries. 8. Make technology available to everyone. And last, strengthen or supplement international institutions.